Okay, I admit it. I watch Dr. Phil. It's a guilty pleasure. But that doesn't mean that I don't sometimes feel like I need a shower when I'm done watching it. Here are 5 sleazy things about Dr. Phil. Number 1, he runs a modern-day freak show. The Dr. Phil Show belongs to a long-running category of TV programs that includes other talk shows like his, as well as reality series like Interventions, Celebrity Rehab, or Hoarders, shows that present exploitation under the guise of education. They tell us, hey, we do this to raise awareness for, let's say mental illness. But the real reason these shows exist is to allow the rest of us to gawk at the freaks. Oh, hey, look at her over there. She's got a drug problem. And look at him. He has a compulsive disorder. And oh, that poor old lady got catfished. Let's watch and see what happens. Somehow, this is all even worse when Dr. Phil does it, because number 2, he hides behind a pretense of compassion. It's one of his many catchphrases. Dr. Phil will lean in toward the drug-addicted teenager, or the parents at their wits' end, or the battered wife, and look them directly in the eye and tell them, in front of his studio audience and millions of television viewers, help is on the way. And then he will pause for applause. A deeply felt concern for his guests is a standard part of Dr. Phil's shtick. Many of his episodes end with him promising to send them off to world-class recovery programs or medical facilities. I couldn't find any data on the success rate of former Dr. Phil guests in their recovery, but that doesn't really matter anyway. The point isn't whether or not he ever successfully helped anybody. The point is he tries because he cares, because Dr. Phil is a good person. Except, when number 3, he's an opportunistic parasite. Dr. Phil has repeatedly attached himself to celebrity scandals, snagging heavily promoted interviews with self-destructing stars. In 2008, he caught some flack for meeting privately with Britney Spears, who was having a bit of a meltdown at the time, then discussing that meeting with Entertainment Tonight. Apparently, professional ethics do not apply to TV doctors. I had my suspicions of this. You two flocks. Greetings from Valakis. More recently, Dr. Phil interviewed an incoherent Shelley Duvall, ostensibly to offer her help with her struggle against mental illness. But that episode ended with Duvall refusing all assistance from Dr. Phil, which rendered the whole episode kind of pointless. They aired it anyway. Go figure. Number 4, he trades on his credentials. Dr. Phil takes advantage of any opportunity to remind his guests and his audience that he has a PhD in clinical psychology and a year postdoctoral training in forensic psychology. See, I watched the show. Though he reminds people occasionally that he is no longer practicing, and he typically stops just short of diagnosing his guests, the implication is clear nonetheless. This guy is a professional. He has experience. He knows what he's talking about. We can trust him. Yeah, about that. Number 5, he's a shameless huckster. Since he first appeared on the scene as a recurring guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Dr. Phil has authored a series of self-help books with titles like Life Strategies, Love Smart, Life Code, and who could forget, The 2020 Diet. When there's a new book out, Phil will relentlessly peddle it on his show, giving out copies to people in the studio audience, pushing copies of it on his guests. Sometimes, when he decides that a guest needs to see a therapist following the show, instead of getting them in touch with a qualified therapist in their home area, Dr. Phil will tell them about Doctor on Demand, a smartphone app that allows users to video conference with doctors and therapists, an app that just so happens to have been created by Dr. Phil. So look on the bright side. Even though the mental health system in this country is an absolute wreck and millions of people suffer needlessly in the absence of necessary care, at least somebody's enjoying it. The hardest part is picking only 5. Catch you next time. Hey folks, hope you found this one worthwhile. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And also please consider helping me to make more videos like this one by supporting this channel through Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Steve Shives to become a patron. Thanks for watching.